back to Clancy's Kitchen. We're delighted today to have our cousin Kevin Power, Kevin Clancy Power, I suppose, technically speaking. From Carrick On Suir, all the way from Carrick On Suir. Kevin, you're very welcome. We're delighted
to have you. Thanks, Róisín. It's great to be here, yeah.
So just to give everyone kind of context about, you know, the relationship between us. So we're first cousins. Kevin,
correct, yeah.
You are a son of Peg Clancy Power.
Yeah.
And
the youngest
Peg,
of the Clancy sisters,
she's the youngest and the last still living member of the Clancys.
That's correct. She's 94 at the moment.
Fit, 94, God bless her.
She is, yeah.
And she's been performing and everything up until recently, isn't she?
Oh, she's still involved in the drama.
Yeah.
And she's helping out with the latest production now for the Clancy Festival at the moment.
Yeah. Isn't she amazing?
There's going to be a one-man show done by Barry Comfort, and she'll be helping out with that.
Isn't that fantastic? Now, Peg, people might remember, we dug out some of the albums here. Donal ran up home and dug them out. So we have, when the Clancy Brothers went to the States, Bobby and Peg were making a name for themselves back home
kind of simultaneously here back in Ireland, yeah.
This is it. And it was the early days of radio, television. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, you don't.
Actually, I was just in Dublin there on Saturday, and I went into Donahue's, and I wanted to see, do they have any pictures of the Clancy Brothers up on the wall? But they have. They have Peg and Bobby up.
Peg and Bobby.
In amongst all the lads in the corner, the Dubliners. And very, very little of the brothers, but they have Peg and Bobby up.
Well, they were really well known back in. See, it was the early days of radio, television, and they were on a program called As Zazima Says. Try and say that when you've had a couple. As Zazima Says. I don't know where they got that from or who Zazimus was. Maybe someone listening will be able to tell us. But they were very popular on that.
On the television, the early days. Well, they used to stay in O'Donoghue's. Irish music wasn't welcome in most pubs in Dublin or anywhere during the country. That Irish music was kind of frowned on, even in Ireland.
There was no music at all, I don't think, played in any pubs until
you'd hunted if you sang a song.
Oh, you would be, yeah.
Yeah.
But O'Donnell's was an exception. They were Kerry people only that, and they were very welcome there. They used to sing there in the pub, and
I didn't realise
around the same time
and Peg sang in O'Donnell.
Oh, they used to stay upstairs as well. Yeah,
that's a good one.
Which will suit Bobby Grant.
Maureen
could stay there late.
And my mother often talks about her because she used to feed them and all. Then
she used to feed them and all, and stay there all day. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. We might take a look at that in a bit and get back to maybe looking at some of the songs and the album. But tell us a bit about yourself first, Kevin. So, Carrick born and bred, and you were a Montor for many years, a teacher, a Privita, no less.
I'm an amateur singer now. I'm with the company, The Professionals here.
No,
I did that.
But you have a great graw for the Irish language, Kevin, always had. You put us
I wouldn't
to
say
shame,
I always
actually.
had. It's really when I came down. My father, I suppose, would be bowl. How would you say that? Favourable enough to the Irish language, and he'd read the Irish article in the Sunday of the press every day, and but I never really sparked a real interest in the Irish language till I came to visit Ring. We come over here drinking and carousing and singing.
Yeah.
Then, of course, I discovered that the language was still alive here.
Yeah.
And I had enough Irish being a Montor scholar that I was able to start the conversation with some of the locals, which was alive. And I started writing down all these phrases in the back of the beer mats of the real language, feach ishtach and...
What years would that have been then?
I suppose the
70s.
The 80s.
70s.
No, actually, the late 70s, 80s. The late 70s, I'd say. Yeah. And I got a job here with a farmer then one year.
You didn't?
With Gerald Curran up in Old Parish. Yeah, I gave the whole summer here then.
Go away. And were you
sleeping in a tent? And go to the pub every night.
The whole summer? Working on the farm and sleeping in the tent?
I was, yeah. Sleeping in the tent below in Helvig.
Yeah. And then you were the Privida, you were the principal
I was never a Privida, no. I wouldn't be that ambitious.
I'm giving you airs and graces. So you were a teacher, long-standing teacher.
Well, I was. I ended up secondary school for a few years, but I ended up going to Dublin then for 15 years. And I came home then, and I ended up. I got a job in Tramore.
Yeah.
And in the Gael School, I had learned the language a bit at that stage, and
So would you do songs with them?
I ended up teaching senior infants in first class.
Go on.
Singing songs all day.
Give us one of the songs you would have done with them. Madarina Roo or something.
Madarina Roo. Oh, that was a great song.
Give us a blast.
Oh, Madarina Roo, 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 Roo. Madarina Roo, how grown. Madarina Roo in the least, the locher agus baragá chluishin. Oh, I get the kids do that.
I know.
Go allo, hoig dom har lev lochra, mishikar tuish margena. A chasta dom manuas, shafuir me a durish ger Madarina Roo an neracht. Oh, Madarina Roo, 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 Roo. Madarina Roo, how grown. Madarina Roo, na lís a lochar agus barada clúsin ard. Good morrow, fox, good morrow, sir. Pray what is that you're eating? A fine fat goose I stole from you, and will you come and taste it? Oh no, indeed, ni hailum me, ni blushing piokta arecher. But I'll vow and swear that you'll dearly pay for the fine fat goose you're eating. Oh, Madarina Roo, 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 Roo. Madarina Roo, tá grana. Madarina Roo in a lís a lochar agus baragá clúsin orda. So, for me well a murder, I got away with murder and the kids singing it. I mean, only the guitar still be in the boot, you see, coming home from the previous night session, so I still be in room for... I sing away up to about 11 o'clock then, that'll get me through the day.
That was a great way to learn the language, wasn't it?
I'm getting a pension of it and all.
And
a great country.
Do you know, it's funny you mentioned that one, Madarina Roo, because another thing I was looking into was the Clancy Children album.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Which I have a copy here of somewhere. Again, we dug it up from somewhere.
Yeah.
We had it in the cupboard at home. This was...
Oh, I remember that day well. We all got a day off school, yeah.
So early in the morning.
It was Diane Hamilton organised that out in Mount Richard in the guest house.
Is that where you recorded it?
That's what was recorded in the garden. And we all got tea and biscuits.
In the garden? Recorded
in the hotel.
Caught and, do you remember our aunt Caught? And they
our aunt had and Diane organised that, brought us all out. We sang an awful lot of songs.
We should explain to people who Diane was. We're referring to Diane, who was actually... Diane Hamilton was an alias, in actual fact, because she wanted
she was married. Those were married.
Oh, was it?
Name, I believe. Yeah, I think so, yeah.
No, I don't think you're right there, Donal. I think she because even in the early days when she came to Carrick On Suir...
she had been married and divorced.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. I stand corrected. She'd been married and divorced, but she always went by Hamilton because she was, of course, a Guggenheim. And the Guggenheims were millionaire, probably billionaire family. And she took a real interest in folk music, all folk music, Scottish, Irish, Italian, all over the world.
She had met Paddy, you see, in New York.
Yeah.
And she was coming to Europe to collect songs, but he had given her Mammy Clancy's.
That's right.
I think she had a particular interest in children's songs. I think that's
she had as well.
I think Tom and Paddy said to her, "Our mother has loads of old children's songs."
Yeah,
they had a record put out in America of American children's songs, Ed McCurdy, but she wanted to make one in Ireland as well of the Irish children's songs.
Yes. And she was fascinated with all the rhymes. And
we had an awful lot of rhymes as children.
Loads of rhymes. I actually dug out a little bit that she wrote, and it's quaint. It's really nice. And of course, all of you as children were on this album, and everyone was involved, all our relatives. So it was Bobby, my father, and Peg, your mother, did the music for it. So it was a real family affair. You had guitar and harmonica, Bobby, tin whistle, Seamus Ennis, and Diane herself played harp on it. And it was recorded by Christy Butler,
I'd say
who was married to our aunt, my
Joan,
father's twin sister, Joan Clancy. Mm-hmm. And Bobby Clancy took the photograph on the cover of it as well, of the children. So, will I read out what she said? Because it's quite nice. You know, in those days, they'd have sleeve notes on albums to give a background. And it's nice, actually. She says, This is a group of Irish children's songs and rhymes from Carrick On Suir, County Tipperary, Ireland, collected mainly from the Robert Clancy family between 1955 and 61. Most of these songs and rhymes have been sung by generations of children in and around Carrick On Suir. So she says the recording was done at the home of one of the Clancy sisters and her husband, Caught and Sean O'Connell. Mrs. Clancy, her 9 children, their husbands, wives, and all 21 grandchildren helped. They searched their memories and hunted.
I don't think he would have been around at that stage, lad,
I
because
wasn't
there's a few
born
more arrived along later.
Not even all of you, because the Cullimer thing isn't mentioned here. So half remembered, they all searched their memories for half remembered words and tunes, and the songs are sung in verse by Bobby and Peg and the grandchildren. And then she gives an idea. She goes on and talks about the town itself, but she gives a lovely idea of kind of how things were back then in Carrick, right? So she describes Carrick On Suir settled in a valley on the foothills of the Cumra Mountains and Slievnaman, the mountain of the women. And she says, the cattle mart is an important part of Carrick. On Mondays, pigs are sold. Wednesdays, dairy stock, and Fridays, beef cattle. When the mart is on, the streets are filled with farmers and cattle and business thrives. The main local industries are a leather tannery and milk chocolate factory. That was, of course, Minocco. 4,000 inhabitants. It's a lot more now today.
Well, it's gone up to 6 now, yeah.
Is it? Yeah. And she says, Saturdays, the street is packed with cars, bicycles, hand carts, various sorts of horse-drawn carts, and multitudes of people doing the messages. And she explains what messages are, food shopping for Sunday. So I thought that was really quaint, like, to give the...
Well, yeah. And the mart is gone, isn't it?
Oh, the mart is gone.
Well, I remember the very last at the old fair. You see, there was a fair in Carrick from about 1400 and something.
Yeah.
That's one of the very first references to Carrick. But back in the 50s, even though the mart had started, there were still a few farmers selling cattle and pigs. And I remember the last of the pigs being sold just below William Street.
To you?
Right down on opposite the barracks there, around that corner there.
Yeah.
And the pigs would all be corralled, if you like, into a little corner there, and they'd be going around.
So they didn't want to have to go out to the mart. When the mart began, they probably...
some of the farmers were so old-fashioned, they didn't want to bring them to the mart. They tried to get a price. But my father sold cattle myself on the main street in, I'd say, maybe the early 50s.
Yeah.
And,
well, this was 1960 now.
The fair lasted into the 1950s, and the mart only started around the 1960s.
And now the mart is gone and all.
Carrick is a residential town. We'll say that now.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bigger town.
Well, this is it. And she talks about that, and it's lovely. She talks about how it was back then. Children flocked the streets of Carrick, playing with sticks, climbing on walls, jumping in puddles, playing singing games, chanting and running. Because of them, cars move slowly, and most people feel actively responsible for any child who they feel needs help. I mean, it's so sweet.
We spend most of our time in William Street. We all gathered there after school.
Yeah.
And we spent all our time out on William Street playing.
That was our grandparents, and we used to call them Mammy and Daddy Clancy. No, I don't remember them, but you do.
We were always playing out in the street, whipping tops and running up and down.
Well, you could, I suppose, because it was a quiet street.
Oh, there was no car. I don't remember any, and they're playing betchel and all that. The girls are playing that. The boys are
betchel?
You draw a little square and you'd be hopping from one square to another and
like
all
hopscotch.
that. Yeah, hopscotch, if you like.
Back then, would you?
Yeah. But an awful lot of little games going on.
Yeah. Well, and again, she talks about that. She said the children spend a lot of time playing together in and around each other's houses. The older ones look after the younger ones, and they're all fed in whichever house they land in at meal times. Yeah. I don't know if that was slightly romanticised.
We were all fed by Mammy Clancy anyway.
There you go. Really? Then she says, shy in front of adults, unless they know them well, they usually play near or out of sight of the grown-ups. Often in the evenings around the fire, the grown-ups will lead a song while the children join in on the chorus. An example of this would be heard in the beautiful Gaelic song, O Róisín and Donal, led by Lori Kiley, husband of Laois and father of Lawrence, Siobhan, Eamon and Maura. And then she said, sometimes the kids just sit around by the fire listening to the grown-ups talk. And I thought this was... she talks about your mother.
Yeah, I heard about that song. I always thought that was written by Padraig Pearse around the 1916, but it was actually O Róisín and Donal.
Yeah.
O Róisín and Donal.
Yeah.
Was a hall and home song.
Which means?
Which means that when the bride went to her husband's house after the wedding.
Yeah.
And that was the and then after about a week, or maybe a week or two, maybe it was a month, that she didn't come near her parents' house, but when they did come home, they had a big party for her. Say she lived on, maybe it could be only 2 miles away, but travel was slow that time. But that was the song.
Give us a blast. Go on, give us a blast.
But then Padraig Pearse added verses, did he?
He added verses.
There was a
politicised it a little bit, but it was a welcoming home song. It was sung an awful lot around South Kilkenny, and that's where the first reference is. Róisín the Bahawalya, Róisín the Bahawalya, Róisín the Bahawalya, Anisher Hakton Taurig, Sé the Bahaban Bolen Vorbear Grach, Uve in even the Ruhibra, Ishel of Merak. Is to dilta leshna gaulev, Róisín the Bahawalya, Róisín the Bahawalya, Róisín the Bahawalya, Anisher Hachtan Taurig, Agranyo Welek Taktar Salya, Ogligarum Hale Marvarda, Gwelid hen isni Frank na Spanig, is Chreshi Ruiger Gaulev, Róisín the Bahawalya, Walam Huna Kidbo Wanya, Róisín the Bahawalya, Anisher Hachtan Taurig.
Yes.
But by coincidence, Gráinne Whale is mentioned in this song.
Yeah.
But did you know that Gráinne Whale did come to Carrick?
Oh, yeah, go on.
She was the pirate queen from the late 1590s, around that time.
Yeah.
That her son was imprisoned by the English in County Mayo. She was a pirate queen from Clare Island off the Mayo coast, and her castle had been taken. So being a very independent woman, she decided to go to the top to get her property back and get her son released. So she decided to sail from the west coast of Ireland up in County Mayo to London, which was a fairly formidable journey that time.
She went up the River Thames, didn't she? She confronted.
Well, she had to come to Carrick first to get the letter of introduction. So she sailed around the west coast down by Kerry. And she sailed on the tide then, sailed up from Waterford up to Carrick and went in. You could sail actually into the castle that time. It'd be great in Carrick if we could open it up. And
the rivers then were like roads, weren't they?
Oh, you see, the roads were... that was the main transport even during the Second War. Daddy Clancy used to go down to Waterford on the Knocknagow on the last of the barges, because it was faster and he could get it cheaper, I suppose. Save him cycling. But anyway, Gráinne Whale came up the river and she went in and she spent time with Black Tom Butler, who was actually a relation of Queen Elizabeth I.
Right. I thought he was trying to lure her over, no?
No, Black Tom Butler was trying to lure Queen Elizabeth over. They were actually related, and some people say they were secret lovers.
I thought rumour had it that she did at one point stay, and just so people listening...
No, she never actually came to Carrick, no.
No,
she called Black Tom Butler her Black Irish husband.
Okay.
And he built the manor house to try and inveigle her over. Exactly. But
because isn't there a bust of her in the castle?
Oh, there is. Well, there's a picture of her here. There is actually a bust of her there.
Yeah.
Trying to renovate the castle at the moment.
Yeah.
But anyway, with this letter of introduction from Black Tom, she sailed back down the river shore, crossed the Irish Sea, around by Wales, Rayland. I don't know if she called and see you on the way.
Is that a good or a bad thing?
Oh, that was a good thing. Maybe she did. I'm sure the Welsh treated her well. She probably pulled in. But then she sailed right around the south coast of England, up the Thames into Westminster Abbey or wherever they lived at that stage, and waited her turn with the letter. And she did get to meet Queen Elizabeth. And seemingly... Gráinne Whale, of course, was named because she, like myself, she shaved her head so that she could get into become a pirate, and she pretended she was a boy, and that's
to smuggle on board.
Anyway, I won't get too stuck on Gráinne Whale, but anyway, she did. They spoke. Queen Elizabeth herself spoke in Latin, and she got. They got on very well. one queen to another. She was like a pirate queen speaking to Queen Elizabeth. And she got her letter from Queen Elizabeth and sailed back. I don't know if she called it Carrick on the way back. I don't think so. She's supposed to have got back by Dublin and called in, and she got well looked after in the castle up there. Then she sailed back to me, and she got her land back, her castle back, and Clare Island, and her son released.
So it was well worth her while.
Worth her while coming to Carrick as well.
And none of it could have happened, only she got the letter of, what did you call it from Carrick?
Well, a letter of introduction to the Queen.
A letter of introduction.
Because there was a big queue of people trying to... She never married, you see, because if she married, she'd lose a lot of her person. She deliberately stayed. They call her the Virgin Queen now.
I said if she'd have lost her property and her
lost her prestige and her authority if she had got married, which should have gone to her husband. Then you see, he did become king. Anyway,
but go back. What do you remember?
Sidetracked here now.
Your memories.
That's good.
Because myself and Róisín we weren't born. Mammy and Daddy Clancy were gone.
Yeah.
Before our time. What are your memories of?
You told us a little story there when you came in, because I don't. Yeah, we don't remember our grandmother, but you do. You were young, but you remember.
Very conveniently, the presentation school, the boys went to school until first class in with the nuns, which was situated next door to Mammy Clancy. There was a shop in between.
Yeah, I went there myself.
Paulie had a shop. Paulie Stewart.
Paulie Stewart, God rest him.
But we used to come down every day at lunchtime. Down Mammy Clancy, and she'd give us milk and biscuits and that. But one of the jobs we had to do was go across to Mrs. O'Connor's shop to buy the potatoes, a pound of potatoes, the new potatoes especially, I remember. And she'd give us the money for the potatoes anyway, and we walk across the road and come back with the potatoes and give it to Mammy Clancy, and this was great. And she was delighted with that. But then she'd always... she'd say, she'd always give us a penny for the to buy us sweets. And we were only 6 or 7 at the time.
What would you buy with the penny?
Oh, you could buy...
Peggy's leg. Do you remember Peggy's leg?
We could buy 6
Peggy's
acid
leg
drops.
was like a sweet, a fat...
Oh, sweet. I don't know how we haven't to have a tooth left in our head from all the sweets we ate. But anyway, one day... Mammy Clancy, she had the snuff box up there as well, a silver snuff box which she'd brought home. She'd have 2 things on the mantelpiece just inside the door.
Yeah.
And one was the silver snuff box that she'd brought home from Boston. And the other thing, obviously, was the one we were interested in, was her purse.
Oh, yes.
But one day she forgot to give us the penny. And we were waiting around, there were no sign of this penny. So my brother Bobby said to her, will I hand you down your purse, Mammy Clancy?
He was so polite.
He was waiting around. Oh, I forgot she said she had it down the purse. So once we got the penny, then we went out the door.
But you remember her singing, Kevin? Was she?
I don't remember her singing that much. Yeah. No. Because that was a night time that used to take place. It was during the day. We'd all gather there. We'd be out in the street playing.
Yeah.
The Kylies and the Butlers.
She would have been very old at that time.
Yeah.
But Mammy Clancy stayed with us then before she died, when she had TB.
Yeah.
She came over to Carrick Tuss. Now she stayed with mother for a few months.
Yeah. But the singing kind of came, I believe, I think our grandfather was he loved opera. Is that right? He liked listening to opera. And I think from our grandmother's side, the McGrath side, they were the songs and the singing and the love of music, playing music and singing music came from
even though Daddy Clancy loved opera and he loved John McCormack and Caruso and all that, but he also had some great songs of his own.
Yes.
You know the one that mocks the matches. Ara cushla gal mochri, won't you buy a box for me? And we'll have the prayers of Dan from Connemara. I will sell them cheap and low, buy a box before you go, for the poor old broken farmer Dan O'Hara. Dan O'Hara was evicted from his house in Galway, and he ended up selling matches on the street in New York. So it's a sad song, really, and this song describes him. Yeah, but that was as well as having.
Yeah.
But he's put his own words to the operatic songs as well, Daddy Clancy. But I don't remember him singing that much because he died when I was young. But we're great members, Mammy Clancy.
Listen, Kevin, we're only getting warmed up here, but we have to stop for a little break. So we're going to take a 5 minutes break. So join us back at Clancy's Kitchen shortly. Thank you. More crack and talk.
More lies.
Hi there. We really hope you're enjoying watching and listening to Clancy's Kitchen, the podcast. In order to help us produce more shows into the future, you could make a donation under Patreon, which you'll find on our website, www.clancyskitchen.com. That will be greatly appreciated. And also you'll have all sorts of information there about our live events and join our mailing list. So we hope you continue watching and listening to Clancy's Kitchen, the podcast. Gurv Mila Mahagwev. Rash, welcome back to Clancy's Kitchen. We have a guest in, Kevin Power, all the way from Carrick On Suir today, our cousin. So Kevin, as we explained, is a son of our aunt Peg Power. We've a picture here of the whole Clancy clan, actually. So we have you seen this one before? Yeah. So we have our grandparents. We used to call them Daddy and Mammy Clancy here.
Right, yeah.
This is Peg.
My mother, yeah.
Your mother. And next to her we have
alive, yeah.
Lila
O'Brien, yeah.
Lila O'Brien. And then we have Leash. Joan was my father's twin sister and Caught. And then, of course, the boys down the front. So we have Liam, Bobby, Paddy and Tom.
Where did that copy of the photo come out of? Did you bring that down? Which you
I did. I got it from William Street.
Oh, you called in and got it today?
Yeah, that was
I haven't seen one that.
Yeah, I don't know where they're standing. It wasn't the house in William Street. They were.
I don't know where it was taken. It could have been out in Diane's house out in Craig.
It might have been.
Or maybe
again,
Paddy's house or something. Yeah.
So we've been talking about lots of things. And one of them being the children's album that Diane Hamilton was really behind so early in the morning. And we were looking at some of the songs on there and also some of the rhymes.
Rhymes, yeah.
Do you know? And it's funny, I was in the kitchen the other day and unbeknownst to myself as I'm tidying up, I'm going, ahem, my mother's gone to church. She told me not to play with you because you're in the dirt. And my daughter was saying,
because you're dirty, it
isn't because you're clean. Because you have the whooping cough and eating margarine. So, I mean, all of those are in there somewhere. And, of course, Diane was fascinated with all of these, and they're on the album. I'll run through a few to see how many you remember, yeah?
Oh, I remember some of them. We sang some of them at the funeral the other day.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
We held hands inside the pub and all.
Yeah, because, of course, a lot of the...
Wallflowers
going up so high. That's on there.
May had the measles and never die. Call to Róisín Clancy's house. She has no relation. She may pick and pack and turn her back and kiss the congregation. We all hold hands and skip down Ballylynch holding that. Good. Exactly.
There's that Shellicky Bookie.
Oh, Shellicky Bookie. Go on.
Shellicky Bookie, let out all your horns. All the ladies and gentlemen to see. Yeah. And then there was Frosty Weather, of course, that song that the brothers.
Weather,
snowy weather, when the wind blows, we'll all go together.
We hold hands and skip along the road.
Frog in the Well, I don't know, which was it?
There was a frog lived in the
well. Oh, yeah, of course.
Hi-ho, Sir Rory, there was a frog lived in the well, and a merry mouse in the dell with me roly-poly, cabbage and spinach and hi for Anthony Roly. Said the frog, I must go court.
Now listen, lads, if we're doing all the verses, we'll be here for the day. She didn't dance, of course. That's a family favourite. Yeah. Oh, she didn't dance. She didn't dance at all today. She didn't dance, no, nor yesterday. Dance her up and up and up, dance her up in the sky. Dance her up and up and up and up, and she'll be down by bye.
She was like a lady, she was like a queen. She was like a lady off to the fair at Glynn. Dance her up and up and up,
dance her up in the sky. Come on.
Dance her up and up and up and up, and she'll be down by bye. The fair at Glynn was only out the road.
Goody on a saucer. What was that? Goody on. Goody on.
I know what Donal Clancy wants. I know what Donal wants. I know what Donal wants. Goody on the saucer. He knows what is good for him. He knows what is good for him. He knows what is good for him. Goody on the saucer. And do you know what goody was?
No,
What?
we don't.
You don't. You're too young to remember that.
Mashed potato, is it?
No, it
What's
was
goody?
bread and
Sugar.
a little bit of sugar, bread and milk. Sometimes warm if you were lucky.
Okay.
Mostly cold and
bread
sugar
pudding.
on it, and that's what they fed
Goody.
children now.
That was goody in a
That
saucer.
was before ever the infant formula came
How
in.
did you survive it all?
I don't know
Bread
alive
and
at all.
sugar.
The Wren song, of course. Look, we could keep going with
Oh,
these
we're here all
forever.
day. Should we start
But,
singing? Supposed to be talking, not singing.
it's funny. I looked up a few of the reviews from these, right? And this is funny. Because, of course, there was a fascination with all of these rhymes and songs that came from children. But somebody says, as a Clancy Brother fan, I couldn't pass up on this. However, I find the songs on the spooky side. If you're looking for your run-of-the-mill wheels on the bus, Barney type of tracks, you won't find it here. My daughter and I laugh because this explains a lot about our heritage, she said, and I've grown to enjoy it with my granddaughter. Isn't that lovely? She says, if you aren't Irish, this might be more of a Halloween album. And then someone else says, straight from the children's mouth, traditional children's songs, giving us a glimpse of culture passed down from generation to generation.
Oh, they were, I'd say,
Loon
yeah.
But some of them, they're very sinister. What's that one?
There's ones
one about
about
the-
witches and maiming and... Which one? Have a
know
look
what
at
kind.
that. As you find it there, I'll tell you more about this. So what they say here is that, it's a culture that was passed down, and then this was destroyed in the civilized world by corporations which took over children's entertainment. Scrubbing things up. And then he says, excellent singers, both young and old, in this remarkable family perform a range of fascinating, beautiful, funny, and sometimes, again, a bit scary.
The
but
songs you wouldn't
entirely
learn in school,
appropriate.
really.
No,
Yeah,
they're
I
not.
suppose, yeah.
And then someone
The
else
schools
said,
tried to anglify
they
that.
tried to clean it all up, and
They
they're,
did, yeah.
and it was always supposed to be, I think, that was part of growing up, wasn't it?
But
to
I think
warn
some of them,
children.
because they were dealing with, there's so much young kind of infant mortality and all that,
Yeah.
a lot of these songs are just
I suppose.
normalising
Yeah.
some.
Yeah, there was a lot of
we're
infant
dark.
mortality. Yeah.
And then someone says the Irish accents make understanding the words a little bit difficult to understand, but I find the music to be enjoyable. So there you go.
I heard President Kennedy's children used to listen to these in the States. Is that true?
Yeah.
We couldn't believe
Really?
that when we
Yeah.
heard that, We didn't even realise they'd gone to America.
Well, I only realised the other day, the piece of footage they took where they're singing to President Kennedy,
Yeah.
and your father says when the Irish came first to the States, they were given a very black welcome. By that, of course, he meant a very, not
Irish
a
Peter
warm
Clive,
welcome
yeah.
at all, yeah. But that was only a few days, apparently, before he was assassinated.
It wasn't long anyway.
Yeah, it was
Wasn't long.
I don't know
shortly
if it's
thereafter.
days, it might have been months, but it was that year.
Well, he had been in Ireland the same year. He was visiting Europe. That was that was 63. He came to
Yeah.
Ireland.
Was
He
it?
down in
Went
New
to
Ross, which
Wexford,
is
yeah.
New Ross is actually very close
Yeah.
to Carrick.
Yeah. But we started off, Kevin, talking about Bobby and Peg. And we were saying in the early days, while the boys were making themselves known across the water in the States, Bobby and Peg became very well known in Ireland. Here's another one of Peg's.
Stage, screen, and lounge bars.
Yes, that's it. That was the posh way of putting it.
The lounge bars came into Ireland to try and
There was Peg
civilise
there.
the pubs a bit.
Yeah. And of course, Peg is very well known in Ireland as an actress, as well as a singer.
That's a
Was-
fabulous recording, just Peg singing, no accompaniment or
No
anything.
accompaniment,
Yes.
of
Real
course,
traditional.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think she was the finest singer of the whole lot of them.
Yeah, she was a lovely, beautiful singer. And actually, Diane wrote a
But
little
they were all
piece.
good singers now. Joan was a very good singer too.
Yes.
I mean,
I suppose they didn't get-
yeah.
But
record them.
Peg had more of an interest, I think, in performing,
They
wasn't
hadn't
she?
the nerve to sing
Yeah,
in public
that was
as
it.
much. Yeah.
They were too shy.
But they could all sing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And who was supposed to be the great singer of all was, of course, the argument goes on in every family, which is the best singer in the family. Like.
Yeah.
But they say Cort was a great singer.
Yes.
And I have to tell you about where they really heard the old time songs and the old tradition was up in Aunt Mary Jo's house
Who's Mary?
on Pill Road.
Right.
She was Mummy Clancy's sister.
Mary Jo.
Aunt Mary Jo.
I never heard- did you ever hear of her? I
Well,
never
they
heard
are
of
now.
her.
I have to educate these young people into their family history.
Aunt Mary Jo. Tell us about
Mary
Aunt
Jo.
Mary Jo.
They had, if you like, a visiting house or a Cayley house and set dancing on the edge of Carrick. Now, Carrick, if you like, was a garrison town. There probably a certain amount of English influence, but right on the edge of town. she was married to a man called James Welch, and they had
the Welsh,
and a real old time house with a flag floor, and they had a goat in the back garden, which provided all the milk. But as well as that, they had a gathering there very often. Now, Paddy would have remembered, and Bobby and my mother barely remembers the end of it, but that's where they got together. And the fiddle and the box were being played there for the lancers and the set dancing.
That might have been the box there. See that box
that
behind you?
That could have been very much.
That came from Mammy Clancy's, I think, that box.
Well, it could have been very much so, yeah, because Aunt Mary Jo's husband played the box. When he discovered that it was after the funeral, a lot of these stories come up.
Yeah.
I was talking to Bernie Welch at the funeral. He was telling me great stories because it was his grandmother, the grandfather's house. But and Paddy would have been great friends now with some of them. But they, as well as when the singing had been finished, someone said they used to dance there every night to keep themselves warm during the winter.
And that was probably true.
It probably was too. It's a great bit of crack on the time better than watching television. Everyone gathered in one of those houses. But then, of course, there was singing going around, and my mother remembers Miss O'Connell singing up there.
Yeah.
Caught singing up there. She remembers her specifically singing. Yes. She'd be brought up by her older sisters up to the house.
Yeah.
They heard a lot of the songs up there.
Yeah.
And whereas in the town, then maybe they made a little bit more
civilized.
Anglified. I don't know, but they mixed. They liked all kinds of music, really, you know.
Yeah. But your mother really took to. I mean, again, this on the sleeve of this album that Diane did. She says, "Peg, the youngest girl in the Clancy family, is slim with large brown eyes and an infectious smile." Full of life and warm-hearted. She's counted on for all emergencies and is competent and
she's
willing
still minding me now,
and
I'm 70.
She sings, I love this line, she sings as easily as she breathes and can pick up a tune she has heard sung once, learn the words and sing it the same night for the family. Often I've recorded her after she's done a full day's work at home with the children and rehearsed for a play. She will turn up at about 11 p.m, settle herself down and record the songs perfectly the first time through. So there you go.
Great head for songs.
Yeah. Will we, look, we've done enough talking about it. Will we sing one of the songs?
Oh, we will, of course, yeah.
There's one here on the album with Bobby and Peg. I think it's Banks of the Roses. Should we give that a go?
Well, we'll give it a shot anyway, Róisín, yeah.
We'll try.
See what key are we in there?
Donal, give it a
flat.
On the banks of the roses, me love and I sat down, and I took out me fiddle for to play my love a tune. In the middle of the tune, oh, she sighed and she said, "You're a Johnny, lovely Johnny, won't you leave me?" Oh, when I was a young girl, I heard me father say, "I'd sooner see you dead and buried in the clay, rather than be married to any runaway by the lovely green banks of the roses." Well, then I am no runaway, and I let you know that I can drink me bottle or can leave it alone, and the man that doesn't like me, he can leave his daughter at home. And young Johnny will go roving with another, and if ever I get married, 'twill be in the month of May, when the leaves they are green and the meadows they are gay, and me true love will sit and sport and play by the lovely sweet banks of the roses. On the banks of the roses, me love and I sat down, and I took out me fiddle for to play my love a tune. In the middle of the tune, oh, she sighed and she said, "You're a Johnny, lovely Johnny, won't you leave me? You're a Johnny, lovely Johnny, won't you leave me?" Woo!
Lovely, very nice.
And the way Bobby got collected a lot of songs, you know. He went around the county of Waterford collecting songs as well. He got a lot of them.
Yeah, well, this is one of we do it in the show, the Clancy's Kitchen show. We talk about, again.
He was providing, he was out there collecting.
Yeah.
He came home and collected the songs. He was involved in the early days of Cultus too. See, the music was a very low end, but Coltis helped to revive the music as well as the Clancys, you know.
Of course.
And
when the rest of them were in America and out on the road touring and all, he was...
Well, he came
He was
home.
on the ground collecting...
As we say, Maria to run the insurance business.
Yeah.
He was more interested, obviously, in singing.
He was never going to be an insurance man, let's face it.
No.
That wasn't going to happen.
Your father tried the insurance business too, didn't he?
He did, and he went off to Dublin and all.
He went to Dublin. He was more interested in the acting.
He went to school first, and he was working with Zurich Insurance, I think, for a while, and I hated it.
Hated it,
Didn't want anything.
That's why I didn't get to know Daddy Clancy that much, that he had the business going on. Now, you might think there's a very upmarket insurance business, but it wasn't.
Just the front room of the house.
The front room of the house. But in the early days, the main source of income was going out with people paying, getting insured for death insurance. Oh. So he used to go around the house and collect a penny a week, which was very small money. So he'd be going through all the names. A penny, a halfpenny, nothing, penny, a halfpenny, and he had to count all. He'd go around, he'd cycle his bike out the County Waterford, South Kilkenny, gathering on all the money, and this was the insurance business. He had tried a lot of things, of course.
I remember my father saying he used to have everything just stacked up around the place, but he knew where everything was.
He did, yeah.
Like, it was chaos, but he knew himself where things were. And when my father went off, and he was working in Dublin then with Zurich, he learned...
How to file
he came back to Carrick and he started filing everything away from him. He thought he couldn't
find anything.
And then Daddy Clancy couldn't find anything.
He was too organised for it, yeah.
Listen, man, because it was the front, and even when my father took it over,
I remember, it was always the office,
room.
we'd try to go in there playing when we wouldn't be there, all right, sitting on the seat and swiveling around and trying to play on the typewriter.
How did they do it with like 11 kids? I mean,
I don't know.
I suppose they grew up.
And then all the grandchildren coming in, it was chaos on the
different
street.
Days, So, Kevin, you do now a walking tour around Carrick as well.
I don't really do it, no.
You did a few of them.
I do an unofficial one.
An unofficial walking tour around Carrick.
Yeah.
So, and you...
We had a Clancy make them when they were home. I brought them on a walking tour around Carrick,
So what did you learn?
I wasn't on it.
All right, okay. So was
I didn't learn anything.
Rory Makem and myself were on the last one. We had a great time.
Yeah, Rory. But all our guests, they love doing the walking tour, Kevin, because they love that personal touch.
Well, because we're singing a song. We're passing down by the river.
Well, give us an idea of. So, say we were on the walking tour. What would you talk about, or what areas would you go to? Give us an idea of. Give people an idea.
People like Carrick. Well, we start off and we've been the main street. Anyway, we go to the old bridge first, which was the oldest crossing point.
12th century.
Well, I'd say it was. I think it was 1473 or something like that. It was built. The River Suir is tidal, so it was the only crossing point. The Carrick grew up around the bridge, obviously. It was the crossing point. Well, then we might go ramble up, and of course we'd have to bring them, see that they're interested in Clancy's, where our grandmother grew up, in the pub on the main street, and Mammy Clancy was reared in the pub, and actually they talk about kitchen, Clancy's kitchen. Well, this was McGrath's kitchen, was part of the pub. Yes. It was a tiny little bar in the front, but if you want a bit of comfort, you'd bring your drink into the back room, which was part of their kitchen.
Yeah.
And so the children were inside trying to do their homework, and the lads were leaving large bottles up there. And we won't mention the toilet facilities, but they were kind of
do you know this story?
Out the lane somewhere, we'll say that.
Let me tell the story, or do you want to tell the story?
No, you tell it.
All right. So there was some of the we can always edit it. We can always edit it out if someone gets offended.
It was raining. That's the story.
It was raining, and the fellas would come up the lane to do their business in the door.
Yeah, they would. Yeah,
Is
they went
right?
to the pub.
Yeah. And she was inside trying to sweep up and whatnot, and she opened the door and said, "Will you come in, fella, for Christ's sake, and piss out?"
Well, he was up against the door. I think he was, doing his business against the door. He said, "Come inside and piss out the door."
Instead of his...
Anyway, I think we might be deleting that from the... We mightn't, anyway. So it was all very... But Ma had great songs, you see.
Didn't you have people over from Newfoundland? There's a great connection between Carrick and Waterford and Newfoundland. And they were over again recently, weren't they?
Well, we have kind of an organisation that's the Waterford, or if you like, South East Ireland, Wexford, Waterford. But an awful lot of people from Carrick went to Newfoundland as well, because they sailed down the shore.
Yeah.
And they hired onto the fishing boats down in Passage and went over to Newfoundland.
Yeah, wasn't there there was an agency or something in Waterford City that used to... You'd sign up.
Oh, yeah, you'd sign up and you go for the
Fishermen,
season
isn't it?
fishing. See, the cod were so plentiful over Newfoundland, and the Grand Banks in Newfoundland, the cod were so plentiful you could nearly walk in them. I nearly got thrown myself over there fishing for cod another day, but Scale, that's another story. Tallavaneish. There's a pub actually in Tallavaneish. St. John's is like Galway City.
And what's amazing, the accent is, it's like they never left County Waterford.
An awful lot of them are, yeah. We feel very much at home. Now, we had other Canadians there in Kilcash there last week. Now, they were, but a little bit more serious, we'll say. But the Newfoundlanders and ourselves are very much the same. Like, you know?
Well, I remember we played for them in Dungarvan when there was a big gang over from Newfoundland, and I was sitting there. We were waiting to play, and all the Dungarvan people and then the Newfoundland people were all sitting down at a big dinner, a big banquet or whatever. And I was looking around the room, and I couldn't tell
Sean Sullivan and all
them apart.
I thought he was from
the way they walked, the way they talked, the way they carried themselves.
But that same mentality as well.
Yeah, same mentality.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of them. They went over in the 1750s up to around 800 before, because it was only 2,000 miles from Ireland, you see. Yeah. And a lot closer before the Irish started going to Boston and New York.
Before the famine, yeah.
And because they were Catholics, they stayed together, and the Irish married together in the Irish loop and that.
And have they kept up the culture of, would the songs have passed on through the generations?
Oh, very much so.
So what
and
songs
they have house parties and all that, yeah.
But sure, there was Irish speakers there not so long ago. Even.
Not that long. Yeah. See, an awful lot of the immigrants, we must remember, that went to America, even, of course, they went to the States. The majority, but the poorer people as well. They didn't have the education. They didn't know English. Yeah. So an awful lot of them just went to Newfoundland as well. We're from South Kilkenny, where our own people came from, really.
Yeah.
And they had an awful lot of it. They had Irish in that.
So which of our songs, or let's say any of the Clancy songs, would they know or sing? Would they know most of them, or what would be popular?
They played. They had their own. The one tune that they obviously had brought in Irish, Osquellan, as we say, to Newfoundland was Visa Law Port Lodriga.
Yeah.
Now they lost the words, but they kept the air, and they can still play the tune. The Visa Law Port Lodriga, full down, full dee, full the diddle dum. If you on this puncher, claw round, full down, full dee, full the diddle dum. Lord and tea the banana, full down, full dee, full the diddle dum. It's Michigola slant. Full dee, full the diddle dum. No, they kept, and even when they're playing dance music, they still play that tune, you know. But they did an awful. They'd know all the Irish songs, really, you know.
Yeah, amazing.
So
Wow. Listen,
now that's
Kevin,
Newfoundland. How did we get as far as Newfoundland? We were walking along the main street there a few minutes ago. Now we're in Newfoundland.
We started off in Carrick On Suir and we ended up in Newfoundland. Kevin, I'd say we could be here for days talking to you.
I'll bring him down to William Street and after that, up the thing, and we show him where
we'll have to have another day of it.
We'll have to have another day.
I think we'll have to have another day,
Peg, hopefully to come along as well, and your brother
I will.
Sing a few songs.
We'll sing all day, sure. That's what we like doing.
Yeah, exactly. As she said, it comes as easily to us as breathing.
Well,
So listen, it's been fabulous having our cousin Kevin Power here on the podcast today. Hope you all stay tuned to look out for the next episode of Clancy's Kitchen. It's been a lovely afternoon
it's great to be here.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you all again soon.
Right. Thanks very much. Right. Míle mágaibh. Thanks.
Thank you for watching and listening to Clancy's Kitchen. Please remember to like and subscribe on our social media and YouTube page, and you'll find all that information on our website, www.clancyskitchen.com. Thanks a million.